fellow classic TV fans, and welcome to Retro TV Trivia. I'm your host, Pat McCormack, from the Golden Age of TV. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button to get notified of all the new episodes. If you like what you hear, please give me a positive rating and review. Every little bit helps. On today's show, you'll hear my interview with actor, comedian, voiceover actor, and master impressionist Jim Meskimen. If you don't know of Jim, you are in for a real treat. He can do it all, and his classic television connection just might amaze you. Enjoy! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast the hyper-talented Jim Meskimen. Jim!
Hyper-talented. That's a new one. Thank you. It makes me think I should talk faster, like Robin Williams somehow. Or like Martin Scorsese also talks very quickly, so maybe that's what you mean by hyper-talented. I don't know. We're going to find out.
Well, I think you just gave everybody the example of what I meant by hyper-talented. I think of the term a man of 1,000 voices, and that nickname with my retro TV trivia realm, I stick on folks like Paul Frees or Mel Blanc. But since I've come to learn about you, I think it actually belongs to you, Jim.
Well, that's very kind. I probably do about 75 or 80 voices, at a professional level. 1,000, that's a lot of voices, but I appreciate it.
We can round it up.
We can, round it way up. That's that fuzzy math there.
Yeah. Oh, Jim, I got to tell you before we get off and running here, one of the most ironic things occurred about a month ago. And that was when I heard from our mutual friend, Harlan Bowl, to tell me that you were available for an interview. Now, I was thrilled, but I was on vacation, and we went out to Hawaii, my wife and I brought 2 books with me. One of them was The Boys, right?
Yeah,
Ron and Clint Howard.
Right.
And the other one was, and this is going to get you, My Days, Happy and Otherwise.
Wow. My mom's book. Yeah. Wow. Two fine books.
I was flabbergasted. I could not believe the irony of it. It was poetic.
Yeah.
To use a term.
That's quite good.
Oh, man. Well, I guess I've kind of let the cat out of the bag in a sense where we should reveal just who your mom is. And I got to say, Jim, before we do, I want you to know that you have the reputation of being the sweetest, happiest baby ever born.
Yeah, I guess so. That period of my life is very, very fuzzy to me, but
well, apparently you were having a good time and were in a good mood most of the time.
I picked some lovely parents, and my mom especially was really terrific, and I'm going to see her in a little while, actually, so I'll send you regards.
Oh, how wonderful. Yes, it's my autographed copy that I got from her at the Hollywood show a couple years back.
Very nice. Very nice.
Maybe we'll feed the audience a little bit more of a clue. Your middle name is Ross, correct?
That is my middle name.
I wonder why.
Well, that's yeah. Let the cat out of the bag.
Okay.
So my mom is Marion Ross. Happy Day. Yeah, she's a wonderful actress.
So talented. I've loved Marion in every single thing she did. I mean, of course, most know her as Mrs. C, but I mean, I know that she'd done so much work prior to that and appeared on so many great shows. It's astonishing.
Yeah, and she's one of these actresses who I noticed always improves the quality of the show somehow.
Exactly.
She's on a show, it suddenly gets a little better. People up their game a little bit. It means a little bit more to them. She just brings people up. And that's something that I would really like to emulate in my career, is the ability to elevate a project just by working on it. And I don't feel like I've done that, but it's a goal of mine to match what my mom has done.
Yeah, boy, that's a tall order for sure.
Well, yeah.
I mean, just such a beloved person. And in meeting her briefly that day, I felt, okay, Marion Ross is down to earth, as could be.
Yeah.
And I got
Yeah,
that impression from, some of the other castmates, but she was a big deal, and I was needless to say nervous.
wow. Where was this show?
It was at the well, it was the Hollywood show, the one that they had at the gosh, I can't remember what the hotel was, but by LAX.
Okay.
And she was there. Don Most was there. Anson was there, and
Mm-hmm.
Scott Baio.
Mm-hmm.
I actually
And
didn't get to meet Scott because his line was too long.
wow, wow. Okay.
He was popular.
Yeah, popular guy. Yeah, uh, they're all. Gosh, Don and Anson have known Mom since the '70s, and they still have a nice friendship. In fact, we went and saw Don sing recently at Gary Marshall's theater. He's a big band singer these days.
Right.
He's really enjoying that phase of his career. He loves it, and he was outdoors singing with a nice little tight little 7-piece band in the parking lot there of the Gary Marshall Theater. It was really sweet.
Again, multi-talented.
Multi-talented. Ralph, who knew that Ralph Malph could also sing songs of Harold Arlen, and he's terrific. He's marvelous, wonderful, wonderful songs. Great, great, great songs.
Well, speaking of talent, tell us a bit about Jim Prescions.
Well, Jim Prescions is my brand that I've come up with, and it's also the name of my one-man show, which I'm rebooting at the moment, trying to get that up again after the COVID lockdowns.
Mm.
And it's Jim Prescions is a way that I relate to the world. I look at things that I admire, people that I dig watching, performers, actors, speakers, and I try to figure out what it is I like about them and present them to audiences in a fun way that keeps them entertained and laughing and marveling at a person's ability to duplicate another. I think people always enjoy impressions because it's a little bit of like a magic trick. Suddenly the person who wasn't there before, and all of a sudden they are in your space, like Patrick Stewart suddenly appears on the radio. And that's there's something thrilling about that, because you hadn't seen him come in and sit down and put his jacket down, and all of a sudden there he is in your face. Well, like we were saying, Robin Williams before, he sort of enters the room. And, it's just a marvelous experience to give to people, make them realize that, I don't know, there's something beyond just the material, there's something a little more spiritual about it. And it's a great deal of fun. So Jim Prescions is kind of my overall title. That's Jim Prescions on Instagram and I think on YouTube as well. So
Yes.
It's my way of interacting with the world and putting things out there and trying to make the world a better place.
Oh, it's fantastic, folks. If you just look up Jim Meskimen on YouTube, you will be entertained, guaranteed. And as a matter of fact, I came across your reading of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, did that celebrity voice.
I mean, there's no comedy there, but it was the most astonishing. I couldn't believe that you actually went through 61 different celebrities in that.
Yeah.
I was watching it, on my laptop, and slowly I start noticing my family is starting to gather around me, behind me.
Was it an intervention?
No, it was more like, who is that guy? He's incredible.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice to hear. It's great.
It's true, and you made an instant 4 fans just like that. It was crazy.
Well, that's the power of good writing. That Thomas Jefferson, he knew a thing or two.
And it's funny. I'll be honest with you. It's the first time I actually really heard the Declaration of Independence, let alone read it.
Uh-huh.
And some of the stuff in that thing is pretty amazing, shocking, if I might say so.
Pretty good document.
It's like, wow, those guys were deep.
Yeah, definitely were deep. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you saw that. Yeah, I try to do things seasonally and things that come to mind. And I write poetry myself, so I will sometimes write a poem and then figure out all the different voices that can inhabit it and sell it. Bring it across to people. No, I was just going to say it's a lot of fun, and I don't have to wait for anybody's permission. I just kind of slap it up, which is nice. That's one major thing that's changed in my career over the years is that I used to have to wait to get a particular part or a particular kind of request and hope for, that something would come along. And now there's really nothing in the way of me entertaining my own creative ideas and getting them in front of a world audience. It's a very beautiful time in that way.
Yeah, well, that's where you deserve to be. I want to kind of quote you from your mom's book, where you said that your mother gave you the gift of artistic encouragement.
Yes.
And I thought, that's just a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, it's really true. Thank you. She was always a real advocate and supporter of me, and to a lesser degree my sister, but she did support her as well. Why I was the firstborn, and I got a lot of undeserved attention, but my sister and I have both been in the arts for most of our lives, and my sister's a writer and very funny person,
Oh,
very
yeah,
funny.
sure.
A lot of great work on Friends. She was a writer producer on Friends and a lot of other really great shows. But my mom was unique that way. She would look at a drawing that I'd done, even at a young age, and say, "That's wonderful." And I think as I've grown up, I found that most people didn't have parents like that. Most people had parents that would go, "Hey, why are you drawing on the wall?" Or, "Hey, wait a minute, that's my piece of paper." Or, "Well, that's okay, but you'll never make a living at it." All these kind of less than supportive statements. But my mom was always, always extremely supportive. And it helped me because, when you're a kid, you have these impulses to do things. Some of them are social, some of them are antisocial. But if you can find encouragement in those creative aspects of, whatever it is, if you're cooking or maybe you're an athlete and you like to create a very fit body or condition physically, you need encouragement from the parent. And that's the way we've tried to raise our daughter too. And happily, she's also become a
Right.
professional.
That's Taylor, correct?
Yeah, Taylor Meskimen is a award-winning voice artist and narrator, as well as being a very fine actress herself.
Yeah.
So we, if you can figure out a way to always find the good in what your child does artistically, it makes a tremendous difference, I think. And my mom was just brilliant at it.
Isn't that true? I'd had a career in music for years,
Wow.
actually. And, they were supportive to a point. They were supportive, but
Good point.
not quite like what I think you got. I
Yeah.
do know that they never took credit for everything I know, though, which you probably know what I'm getting at there.
Uh-huh.
That story in the book is so great.
Oh gosh, yeah. My God.
Well, now what was that? That was a high school talent contest?
A high school creation fair that I was basically in charge of it, from the student aspect of it, and it had artwork and sculpture and also performances. And I did a little performance just to kind of contribute to the evening. I did some sort of Shakespeare thing, and a lot of my friends and other people in high school performed. And my mother was the celebrity judge to give first prize, and she, to my extreme humiliation, gave the best actor award to me in front of everybody. And her comment, as you've alluded to, was, "Well, I have to give this award to Jim Meskimen because I taught him everything he knows."
I laughed out loud.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it's fixed. This whole thing is fixed.
Oh my God! I'm sure there's plenty of people still surviving from that time in my high school that will give me the stink eye about that one.
Well, and yet she poked fun, and made it not so serious. By obviously that had to be a funny moment. I mean, really.
I'm sure it was to somebody.
Yes, he won, and if it wasn't for me,
I need to be here. Yeah,
I love that. But I am curious, when did you realize that you had the gift of? Oh, here's the question: impersonator or impressionist? What's the difference? Is there a difference?
It's not a very well defined area, but in my mind, an impersonator is someone who dresses up and tries to resemble that person. Maybe they also sound like them, but they make extra efforts to embody their personage.
Right.
I do a bit of that when I'm in a movie. Like I just did a movie about the Chippendales dancers called Welcome to Chippendales, where I portray uh, um, what's his name, Phil Donahue, the talk show host, and I was made up to look like Phil Donahue. I was given, a nice gray hairpiece and a bit of a paunch and the famous glasses. So in that case, I would think I was being more an impersonator. But when I go on stage and do the impression show, I'm not making efforts to look like the person, other than doing sometimes things to my face from inside. But that I think is more of an impression.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's not a very well defined difference.
Hmm.
But and I've been doing it all my life, mostly just out of fun and enjoyment and just playfulness. My mom, again, set a good example, because she would do accents and characters, and that looked like fun. And we would communicate that way with one another and make each other laugh on long road trips. And so I grew up knowing that was an avenue of delight, if you will. And when I got to be a professional in my 20s and was in New York, and I found that I had a little bit of a leg up on other actors at auditions and stuff because of impressions. That's when I realized that, maybe there's something here that is marketable and can help me survive in the world, outside of it just being a fun thing to do socially.
Right. Right. Well, and was it a natural ability, or on the side of natural, or did you have to put the 10,000 hours in it takes to become an expert?
I think I put a lot of time into it.
You did the 10,000 hours.
I didn't clock them, but I put a lot of hours in, for sure. 10,000 hours, that's a lot of hours. But, as with drawing, my first career was as a cartoonist illustrator, and I spent many, many hundreds of hours, certainly, drawing as a kid. It was my way of coping with life, really, because, I like to go off by myself and draw. And luckily, that turned out to be something that was a marketable skill, and which I still do today. So I think, there's a lot. Talent is one thing. Talent's a little hard to judge sometimes. I mean, you can look at an athlete and go, wow, well, you are the right size and weight and proportion for this particular event. But in my case, it's like, well, I'm dealing with ideas and I'm dealing with a lot of intangibles. It's hard to say, well, what's talent and what's just the fact that I've been doing it since I was a little one. I don't know. I don't think it's that important. And, sometimes people can go, well, I don't have talent, so I'm not even going to try. And that's a mistake, because you can make up for talent by just being very invested in any activity. It has to be something you're obviously deeply interested in. But, I think sometimes people go, well, talent is the main thing. And if I don't have that, or someone hasn't mentioned that, or it's not obvious that I have talent, then why bother? And the why bother is because if you really like it, you better do it. I imagine when you were doing music, it was because you really loved it.
Yes. Yes, for sure. And that's the driving force. You will put the time into it if you love it. And I don't know that anybody with the talent like yours comes right out of the gate, I'm the next Rich Little,
Yeah.
Hi. So now I'd like to do my impression of Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
I have a question for Phil Donahue, if he's there.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Hi, how are you?
Phil, I want to know, how do you feel about generations of men, such as myself, being completely in love with your wife?
Well, I've had to share Marlo with a lot of people, and it's something it's my axe to bear, or my bale to tote, or I don't know what the expression is these days, but she's a beautiful one. She was beautiful before I met her, and she'll be beautiful after I'm gone.
Yeah, well, I agree, sir. Timeless. She's got timeless beauty. Well, thank you, Phil. Answer my question. Oh, I would be nervous as heck if I were you. She's just, oh man, I had such a crush.
Yeah.
So Jim,
Yeah.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot of film work. You've done a lot of television work.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm just getting started. It's so funny. I've been doing it for 35 years. I've even got to the point where I have an online course telling people, here's what my successful things that I did at jimworkingactor.com. But I'm always looking for the next big, exciting project. I just got back from New York where I was working on a crime show, one of those crime shows out there. And I've got a new series coming out in, I think this year, maybe in the fall, called The Big Door Prize. And that's a fun show that stars Chris O'Dowd. I think you might know Chris O'Dowd, the one Irish actor, and he's in it as well. And so, I'm always looking for the next exciting, big, project that demands a lot of me, that's challenging, and that a lot of people enjoy.
Right. Well, it's great to see that Ron Howard casted you in a few of his classics.
Yeah.
I was thrilled to see that you were in How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, that was a great job. I worked on that picture for 4 months, getting into makeup every day and hanging out there on the set of Whoville, and really great memories. That was an extraordinary experience, and one that is not likely to be duplicated. It's they don't even make movies like that anymore. It's if they ever did, it was really extraordinary time.
Right. Well, let's hope they don't try, because when you got perfection, just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Yeah,
leave it alone. He did it. It's perfect. And Officer Houlihan was perfect.
Thank you.
Houlihan, of course.
Exactly. And it's interesting. The makeup artist that did a lot of the design and application for that film and did Jim Carrey's makeup and a lot of other guys, was a guy named Kazuhiro, a Japanese special effects artist. And he's really come forward. That was one of his first jobs out here in the States. And he's just kept moving from strength to strength. And he did Winston Churchill's, Gary Oldman's Winston Churchill makeup for Darkest Hour.
Oh.
Then I worked with Sean Penn recently on Gaslit, where he played John Mitchell under humongous amounts of special effects makeup so that he was unrecognizable. And that makeup had been designed by Kazuhiro, who I got to see on the set and have a nice reunion with. So it's interesting how you just, in show business, you run into the same professionals over and over again over the years, and they just get better and better and better. It's a wonderful community.
Well, Jim, is there anything you would like to plug? Upcoming performances or shows that you're...
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, the Big Door Prize, that's coming out. That'll be on Apple TV. I'm going to be in a really cool episode of Hunters season 2, whenever that comes out. That's the Al Pacino Nazi hunting show.
Yeah.
I get to play a German, so it's very exciting to do that.
Ooh, das ist gut.
This is very good. And then what else have I got? Well, the online course, I definitely, if any of your listeners are actors or want to be actors or are experiencing a lull in their acting career or feel like they're always, the tail is wagging the dog in their case, they should check out jimworkingactor.com and see if any of those videos are helpful. I've tried to isolate what I know worked for me and what I do on a weekly basis to keep my career rolling forward. And as I said, I've been doing it for 35 years. I know what I'm doing. I know how to keep it rolling. I'm not a big star, but I'm a working actor, and I've been that way for a long time. So jimworkingactor.com for that. And I'm in the new Beavis and Butthead movie, so you can see me there.
Perfect.
But you'll hear me, and you'll see a picture of of someone that looks like Ed Harris, who was basically who I was imitating, the head of NASA for that silly film.
Right.
Just don't operate any heavy machinery for at least an hour after watching that film.
Yeah, for sure.
And, gosh,
and of course, I play Colonel Sanders on your radio commercials and also some of your TV spots too. So next time you see a bucket of chicken and someone saying "finger looking good," realize that's your old friend Jim.
Well, I grew up eating your food, Colonel.
I don't mind at all.
Fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. And folks, you'll find links to what Jim is referring to in the description. So by all means, look up what he's working on and get on YouTube and check this guy out. I can't describe it, how good it is. So I'm not even going to try.
It's very kind of you.
Well, I'm going to let you go. And with my thanks, my audience's thanks. And again, what a thrill to have you on, Jim. And
let's do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope so. All right.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Another Retro TV Trivia episode in the books. Remember to check out jimpressions.com to learn more about this amazing entertainer and all the wonderful things he has to offer. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Speaking of which, pick up his mother's book, My Life, Happy and Otherwise, by Marion Ross. You can find it either on Amazon or Google Books. I've read it, and I highly recommend it. Don't hesitate to share this podcast with as many friends as possible. Until next time, I'm your host, Pat McCormack. Thanks for listening to Retro TV Trivia.